To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Vielleicht nur als Impostant.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight on Gravitas focuses on the Russia-Ukraine war as Russia captures Ukraine's last stronghold in Donbas. What are things looking like on the ground and what really lies ahead? On Gravitas tonight, we join the dots for you to get you the bigger picture. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. What's happening between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is all not well. We tell you how the American president seems to be cutting Elon Musk to size. On Gravitas Deep Dive, we tell you all you need to know about the space oil drug crisis. Losing your phone can be your worst nightmare, but have you ever wondered what happens to your phone after it gets stolen? All this and much more coming your way. Russia is attacking Ukraine on all fronts, from east to west, from north to south. Russia is making rapid advances, solidifying its gains along Ukraine's crumbling front line ahead of any potential peace talks with Kyiv. In the east, Russia has captured the last Ukrainian stronghold in the Donbas region. In the west, Moscow launched a massive drone barrage, setting buildings on fire. Putin's forces are wearing down Ukrainian troops across the 1,100-kilometer front line. The question is peace possible under such circumstances? And if yes, what price will Ukraine really have to pay for that? As Russia continues to pummel Ukraine from all sides, what is Ukraine willing to sacrifice for peace? Now, before we go on, have a look at these images on your screen. Drone footage released by the Russian Defense Ministry on Sunday. What does it tell us? It shows men waving Russian flags on top of that heavily damaged building. These men are Russian troops and they claim to have taken control of a Ukrainian village. It's called Velika Novosilka. If what Russians are claiming is indeed true, Ukraine has just lost its last stronghold in southern Donbas. And you see, that's a big setback for Ukraine. The town was a key component of Ukraine's heavily fortified defensive line in this region. It also served as a major logistics hub for the Ukrainian troops. Russians have been able to drive a wedge through Ukraine's defensive positions, through drones and artillery storming. And now, if you have been closely following the developments, you would know the importance of Donbas. The thing is, while Russia's larger objectives in the Ukraine war go a lot further, there has been one consistent goal. It is the capture of the industry-heavy Donetsk and Luhansk regions, also known as the Donbas. And ever since they captured the town of Avdiivka in February 2024, the Russians have remained on the offensive here. So it would be no exaggeration really to say that the loss of Velika Novosilka is a major setback for Ukraine. Sure, after 3 years of fighting, both Russia and Ukraine have shown interest in peace talks. But what will the price of that peace be is the big question. You see, it's not just the fact that Russia has captured the last stronghold of Donbas. It's the fact that Ukraine's entire front has collapsed on a daily basis. The Russian military is striking Ukrainian military infrastructure, warehouses for storing drones, and concentrations of Ukrainian military personnel and equipment. On Sunday, in fact, Ukrainian forces said they had repelled multiple Russian assaults in Kupiansk and Pokrovsk in eastern Ukraine. And Russia also claimed its troops had taken control of a settlement called Zelin in Donetsk region. As you can tell, fighting continues across various parts of the front line. In just the last 24 hours, the Ukrainian armed forces reported a total of 123 combat clashes at different parts of the front, from Vuhledar and Pokrovsk in the south to Chaziv Yar and Kupiansk in the north, and even in Kursk in Russia, where Ukraine staged a surprise invasion in August. Russia has overwhelmed Ukrainian forces. Ukraine's death toll alone is estimated to exceed 83,000. It is struggling to keep up its recruiting pipeline and bolster its ranks. Meanwhile, Russia has replenished the ranks of its dead and injured soldiers by attracting new recruits. And what's more, Russia's war machine is churning out missiles and drones and submarines. Just today, Russian Defense Ministry released footage showing the arrival of its fourth-generation nuclear-powered attack submarine. They call it the Arkhangelsk. It carries an array of seaborne weapons that gives it the capability to strike at both sea and land. The crew of this sub is expected to undergo additional training, after which the vessel will formally join Russia's Northern Fleet's naval force, ready for immediate deployment. Now, what it all means is that the Ukraine war is nearing another critical juncture, with pressure building for a ceasefire or a peace deal that would basically pause, if not outright, halt the fighting nearly 33 months in. Russia is trying to advance as much as possible, and show its ability to sustain the same intensity of fighting. It will help Russia create a new reality on the ground, and it will also give it leverage over such issues like Ukraine's NATO membership prospects. And Ukraine knows it. In October, Ukrainian Major General Dmytro Marchenko made a rare public admission about the same. Later, he announced his resignation in what many saw as punishment in a way for his candor. Months after that incident, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is now making similar admissions. He has acknowledged a surge in military desertions amid growing war fatigue. He has said that they do not have the strength to retake the territories occupied by Russia. And by the way, he has said there is one option remaining: talks with Vladimir Putin. And today the Kremlin has once again said that it is yet to receive any signals from the US about arranging a possible meeting between Putin and Trump. The Kremlin said it remains ready to organize such a meeting, but Russia has been ready for talks for many months now, albeit with conditions. And that is where the question of concessions really comes in. Last week, the new US president made a vociferous attempt to pressure Putin into ending the war in Ukraine. He threatened sanctions on Russia if Trump does not come to, if in fact the leader does not come to the talking table. Remember, Trump also boasted he could end the war in 24 hours, but that's all that we've been seeing for the last 7 days between Trump and Putin. Invitations to talks, a little stroking of the ego in a way, a few jabs here and there. Yet, so far, the two leaders have not spoken. And from where we are sitting, what's happening between the two leaders only suggests that the only way to end the Ukraine war is for the two of them to meet, and presumably without the Ukrainians. Remember, it's still not clear what, if any, security guarantees Trump is willing to offer to Volodymyr Zelensky. He has been asking for it. And so we are back to square one. What is Ukraine willing to pay for peace? We now shift our focus to West Asia, specifically to the visuals coming up on your screen. You can see tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians carrying their belongings in those images and making their way back to their homes in northern Gaza on foot, following an agreement with Israel that basically included the release of 6 hostages, a move brokered by Qatar and Egyptian mediators that paved the way reportedly for 650,000 Palestinians in central and southern Gaza Strip to return to northern Gaza, most of which had been laid to waste by 15 months of the war. But for Gaza's 2.4 million inhabitants, their home is a constant international matter. Israel has claimed that 8 hostages due for release in the coming weeks are dead, putting the ceasefire deal at risk. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has asked Jordan and Egypt to take in Palestinians to quote-unquote clean out Gaza. Listen in.
And I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole.
So what exactly did Trump even mean by that? At this moment, it's not clear. As per reports, Trump did not give further details of the proposal, nor was the subject referenced in White House's official readout. Whether Trump has formally made the request to Egypt and Jordan is also unclear at the moment. But will Trump stop just at Gaza is the question. Palestinians with Israeli citizenship make up around 21% of the Israeli population. Will Trump ask his close ally, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, to displace around 2 million people? Or were Trump's comments about displacing Gazans a tactic to appease the Israeli government? Because the idea of encouraging Gazans to relocate to neighboring countries has long been pushed by hardline right-wing members of Netanyahu's government, like the Israeli finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who in the past, remember, has said that Palestinians should emigrate to neighboring countries to allow Jewish settlements to be re-established. Or were Trump's comments just meant to test waters? By the way, Egypt and Jordan, both the countries have opposed Trump's plan, with Jordan rejecting any displacement of Palestinians as quote-unquote firm and unwavering. Listen in.
Our stance that the two-state solution is the path to achieving peace is firm and unwavering. Our rejection of displacement is also firm and unwavering. This is not only the steadfast and unwavering position of the kingdom, but it is also a necessity for achieving the security, stability, and peace that we all desire.
Egypt's foreign minister also said in a statement that transferring Palestinians, quote-unquote, risks expanding the conflict in the region. Meanwhile, Hamas described Trump's comments as, quote-unquote, very strange.
In reality, these remarks are very strange. In any case, the Palestinian people who paid with their blood in exchange for their steadfastness on their land will not leave the Gaza Strip and will remain steadfast on their land. Taking an example of the poet saying, "We will stay here until hope returns."
You see, Trump has a history of making hyperbolic statements in a way, floating ideas that fail to materialize. But what is he trying to do in this case is the big question. Is there more to this than meets the eye? Meanwhile, here's what else is happening. Iran has flown its largest ever drone, and can you guess what they named it? Gaza, in honor of the Palestinian enclave's 15-month-long war with Israel, in which over 47,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. IRGC's commander-in-chief and the commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force has said that the drone can carry up to 12 bombs and will increase both Iran's security and its border operations.
It currently has 8 bombs, but it can carry up to 12. It can carry out a complete operation. It's very useful when it comes to increasing security of this country, including guarding the borders in case there are terrorists or smugglers. It's effective in various operations.
The drone was previously named the Shahed 149 Gaza drone, but the drone has been updated and renamed the Gaza drone, according to Iran's state media. According to reports, the weapon is a super heavy drone. It has a wingspan of 22 meters, a takeoff weight exceeding 3,000 kgs. The drone can reportedly fly for 35 hours at speeds reaching as high as 350 kilometers per hour. Overall, it has a range of at least 1,000 kilometers and it can carry a total payload of 500 kgs, reportedly making it ideal for surveillance and combat missions. The Gaza drone reportedly represents a new era for Iran's military capabilities to strengthen its defense systems and be battle ready for modern warfare. Shifting focus now to India's neighborhood, the Bangladesh government is in real trouble now. The United States, under President Donald Trump, has decided to halt all aid to Bangladesh's interim government headed by Mohammad Yunus. You heard that right. In fact, the U.S. government, through its donor agency USAID, has announced the immediate cessation of all work in Bangladesh, including contracts, grants, cooperative agreements, and other procurement instruments. And this follows the decision to halt all foreign aid under Donald Trump's executive order signed on the 20th of January. In a letter, USAID has said that all projects under its Bangladesh operations were to be suspended, citing a recent executive order by President Trump. And now this decision comes as a shock to many, especially given the current economic crisis in Bangladesh. Remember, Bangladesh's economy is facing desperate times, just to put this mildly. Some of its banks are now on life support, in fact. And all of them, even the healthy ones, are unable to provide much credit. With so many banks short on cash, people are unable to get more than a small portion of their money out, even on payday. Ordinary businesses and consumers are basically struggling to survive. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's foreign debt servicing has surged by 49% year on year. For the first time, interest payments have crossed the $1 billion mark. Bangladesh was recently unable to repay a $5 billion import bill for petroleum. This was a country that took pride in repaying loans in time. And look where it stands now. Now, the major problem for Bangladesh would be repaying the loan it has availed from foreign lending agencies and local banks. Of the total borrowing, 20% is foreign debt, while over twice that has been taken from local banks and printing money. These loans will have to be paid in dollars. And that is in short supply in Bangladesh. Suffice to say, in Bangladesh, every dollar counts. And under the current interim government led by Mohammad Yunus, there is no accountability in Bangladesh any longer, it seems. With more development projects being taken up, there are reports of more corruption. And as a result, the cost of development is also rising. Since the turmoil began in August last year, nearly 1 million people have lost their jobs. A number of industrial and commercial establishments have shut down amid acute liquidity crisis. Sure, the garment industry has reopened factories after a brief period of shutdown, but workers saying that the conditions are worse than before. They say that they are not receiving their salaries on time. And then there is mob anarchy, rampant extortions, intimidation, threats to religious minorities, and an overall hostile environment. After all, the USAID program in Bangladesh is the largest in Asia. Apart from $490 million in 2023 for the development sector, the US government had last year promised to send Bangladesh $202 million more in aid. Therefore, the US decision to cut aid is a powerful signal from the US. And the pause in US aid will be reviewed after 90 days, pending a review of efficiencies and consistency with Trump's foreign policy. But as it stands right now, Bangladesh is well on the way of becoming another Pakistan, it seems. As for the Yunus interim government, its future is not looking good. You see, Yunus and Trump have a history of strained ties. Bangladesh's interim government head, the bitterness reportedly began when Yunus allegedly made a huge donation to the Clinton Foundation. In 2016, Yunus reportedly made a donation of $300,000 US. That's approximately 2.5 crore rupees to the Hillary Clinton Foundation. In fact, after Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in the US election, Yunus had said that Trump's victory had shattered him so much he could barely speak or move. He had called Trump's victory a solar eclipse and had described Trump's term as quote-unquote black days. There are also reports that Yunus's close relationship with the Clintons, quote-unquote, helped his daughter, Monica, secure a prominent role in former President Joe Biden's administration. But Trump has made his displeasure with Yunus very apparent as well. According to The Telegraph, in an incident that reportedly took place 8 years ago, Trump referred to Yunus as the microfinance guy from Dhaka, quote unquote, who has donated to see me lose, quote unquote. Just for context here, Yunus was then heading the Microfinance Institute, Grameen Bank. Before that, are these past instances catching up to Yunus under Trump 2.0 is the question, and we will have to wait and watch for the answer. We now focus on the simmering tensions between US President Donald Trump and the tech billionaire Elon Musk. You heard that right, simmering tensions. Their once seemingly strong alliance is reportedly showing cracks. Just days after Musk criticized Trump's Stargate plan, a $500 billion infrastructure project, AI infrastructure project. In fact, the two are now at odds over UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. As per reports, Trump has not only praised Starmer, but also highlighted their quote-unquote very good relationship. Trump's warm words for Starmer standing in sharp contrast to Musk's criticism of the British Prime Minister. In fact, Musk has publicly accused Starmer of being complicit in major scandals during his time as the UK's top prosecutor. In fact, he's also criticized Starmer's record on financial policies, claiming that he has created a financial crisis in the UK. Musk, remember, is also a vocal supporter of Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, and Musk on several occasions has praised Farage's policies on immigration and sovereignty. Now, perhaps this connection could further complicate Musk's relationship with Trump. Meanwhile, Trump's public support for Starmer has raised eyebrows, especially as it comes on the heels of Musk's criticism of the US president's Stargate project. Musk took to X to claim that the $500 billion venture lacks sufficient funding. Trump, however, appeared unbothered by Musk's skepticism, brushing it off during a recent press conference, stating that Musk, quote-unquote, hates one of the people in the deal, reportedly pointing at Musk's long-standing feud with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. But that's not even all. Tensions between Musk and Trump have also escalated beyond policy disagreements. Musk's reported ambition to have an office in the West Wing of the White House has been thwarted. As per reports, Susie Wiles, the first female chief of staff, has made it clear that Musk will not get a coveted spot in the West Wing. She reportedly emphasized that only team players who align with shared goals will operate within the main White House complex, reportedly silencing any speculation about Musk serving as a quote-unquote co-president or overshadowing US Vice President J.D. Vance. Instead, Musk and his leadership team are stationed in the Eisenhower Executive Office building, a short walk from the Oval Office. When Trump was asked by reporters on whether Musk would get a West Wing office, Trump firmly said no. Does that reveal a growing divide between the two influential figures? Musk has often been seen as a wild card in Trump's administration. As Trump's second term enters its second week, one question looms large. How long can Trump and Musk remain on the same side? Shifting focus now to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where rebels say they have taken control of the city of Goma in eastern DRC, a claim which has been denied by the government. On January 21, a local governor and a rebel leader said the M23 rebel group in DRC seized the eastern town of Minova, a main supply route for the provincial capital city of Goma, as the army reported fighting on all fronts. And on Sunday, the UN peacekeeping chief called on the M23 rebels to end their activities and leave the DRC. But who exactly are the M23? And why is it being blamed for worsening a humanitarian crisis? Our next report telling you.
Democratic Republic of Congo is on the boil. An insurgency led by M23 rebels in East Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC, has escalated. Countries like South Africa, Malawi and Uruguay have announced that soldiers from their respective armies were killed as they battled to halt the advance of the rebel fighters. Footage filmed late on Sunday showed flashes of light in the night sky as well as the sound of gunfire. Tens of thousands fled neighboring towns fearing for their lives. The M23 fighters have entered Goma, a major city of more than 1 million people in the east of DRC. Sitting on the border with Rwanda and the shores of Lake Kyiv, it is a vital trading and transport hub that is well within the reach of mining towns supplying metals and minerals in high demand. M23 refers to the March 23, 2009 accord that ended a previous revolt in eastern Congo led by Tutsis, a tribal group native to Burundi and Rwanda. M23 is the latest group of insurgents to take on the Congolese forces, who also accused the Congo government of not living up to the peace deal and fully integrating Congolese Tutsis into the army and administration. M23 are fully committed to defending Tutsi interests, particularly against ethnic Hutu militias such as the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, who fled Rwanda after participating in the 1994 genocide of close to 1 million people. The anger among the rebel forces has been brewing for long, who launched their current rebellion in 2022, and since the start of 2025, the rebels have seized new territory and have now reached Goma.
Another message we are sending is directed at the FARDC, referring to Congolese military. They are our brothers, and they suffer greatly due to poor governance. I was once in the FARDC. You saw me as a brigade commander here around 2009-2010. Do you see this house filled with materials we captured from the FARDC? That's where I used to stay.
According to the United Nations, for more than a year, M23 has controlled Congo's coltan mining region of Rubaya, generating an estimated $800,000 per month through a production tax, suggesting a fairly stronghold in the region. And now, the offensive launched by M23 in the heart of the mineral-rich region of Goma threatens to worsen one of Africa's longest wars and further displace civilians. The crisis, by the way, has not escaped the international community, where in the latest, countries like France has condemned M23 offensive in East Congo.
France expresses its solidarity regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo and its territorial integrity. France strongly condemns the offensive led by the armed group M23, supported by the Rwandan armed forces, which has resulted in the death of 6 peacekeepers and the displacement of tens of thousands of civilians.
And M23 reportedly having captured much of the eastern city of Goma. Is aggression the new normal? And is peace going to be a distant hope in the conflict-torn region? The world waits with bated breath. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shifting focus now to Hong Kong, where a new drug is gaining popularity and becoming a source of serious concern. It's called space oil, a deadly narcotic that is gaining popularity among the youth there. But what exactly is it, and why is it a significant cause for alarm? Here's a Gravitas deep dive. On Sunday, 2 students were charged after Hong Kong customs officers discovered a vape suspected to contain space oil. The 2 young women, aged 18 and 19, had arrived there via the China ferry terminal the day before. They were reportedly arrested after customs officers found the drug. And now, according to Hong Kong's narcotics division, Space oil is a term created by drug dealers to make this emerging drug seem more appealing. Although there is no standard formula for space oil, it typically contains an anesthetic called etomidate, which can only be prescribed by a doctor. And here's where things get worrisome. Etomidate is classified as a Part 1 poison under Hong Kong law. It is believed to have played a role in at least 3 deaths in 2024. And in addition to etomidate, space oil may be mixed with other substances including cannabis and ketamine, and this narcotic can cause serious physical and mental harm, including addiction, memory loss, seizures, unconsciousness, and even death. The drug is usually packaged in e-cigarette capsules, making vaping space oil particularly popular among young individuals. The authorities in Hong Kong, in fact, have started to crack down on the abuse of the drug. Those convicted may face a maximum penalty of 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. That's approximately $12,840 US, along with a sentence of up to 2 years in prison for possession or distribution of this drug. Hong Kong Government's Action Committee Against Narcotics in September 2024 noted that space oil had become the 3rd most popular drug among young users, after cannabis and cocaine. And what's more, a survey by a drug counseling center has found that almost 1/3 of Hong Kongers did not know the health risks of taking space oil. Now, the Hong Kong Poison Control Center, under the Hospital Authority, is tracking the number of deaths suspected to be tied to space oil. The number of arrests for possessing space oil has also skyrocketed by 988% in 2024, compared with all of 2023. In fact, in the first 9 months of 2024, around 98 arrests were made in 60 cases, and in all cases, many suspects were aged 21 or younger. Due to the threat of this drug, Hong Kong lawmakers are calling for stepped-up enforcement actions and to finding out where this drug even came from. It will be classified as a dangerous drug on February 14, with the maximum penalty for possession increased to 7 years jail and a fine of 1 million Hong Kong dollars. That's $128,205 US. Our next story is about the Taliban. Top Taliban officials met Iran's foreign minister to discuss tensions along their shared border, the treatment of Afghan refugees in Iran, and water rights. And this marked the very first visit by an Iranian foreign minister to the Afghan capital since 2017. And going by the talks that they've had, as per reports, Iran and Taliban seem to be cozying up to each other. Not just Iran, just weeks ago, India's top diplomat Vikram Misri met Taliban's acting foreign minister in Dubai, marking the highest level of talks with Delhi since their takeover of Afghanistan in 2021. But does this mean bad news for Pakistan, which is currently witnessing a strained relationship with the Taliban? According to a statement from the Afghan government's deputy spokesman, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi has said that Iran was committed to the return of some 3.5 million Afghan refugees and that it had no intention of interfering in its neighbors' domestic politics whatsoever. The statement also said that Araghchi called for the full implementation of the Helmand River Water Treaty, which basically envisions shared water resources. On January 26, Iran's official IRNA news agency quoted Araghchi as saying he hopes for more economic ties and improved relations with Afghanistan, while citing some ups and downs, quote unquote. You see, Iran does not formally recognize the Taliban government in Afghanistan, which seized power in 2021, as US and NATO forces withdrew from the country following 2 decades of war. However, Tehran maintains political and economic ties with Kabul and has allowed the Taliban to manage Afghanistan's embassy in Iran's capital, all signaling to the fact that old rivals Iran and Taliban might be willing to put their differences aside and forge a strong partnership. And not just Iran, in the recent days, in fact, Taliban has also extended its cooperation towards New Delhi. On January 8, in a statement, Afghanistan's foreign ministry had said, and I'm quoting, "In line with Afghanistan's balanced and economy-focused foreign policy, the Islamic Emirate aims to strengthen political and economic ties with India as a significant regional and economic partner," quote unquote. The foreign ministry also said that with India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, they had discussed expanding relations with Afghanistan and to boost trade through the Chabahar port in Iran, which India has been developing for goods to bypass the ports of Karachi and Gwadar in Pakistan. Not just that, in the past, India has consistently extended humanitarian aid to Afghanistan under the Taliban regime, despite not recognizing the administration officially. Since 2021, New Delhi has sent shipments of wheat, medicines, COVID-19 vaccines, winter clothing to Afghanistan. India also provided shelter to thousands of Afghan refugees and reaffirmed its support for rehabilitation efforts, factors which contributed to the very foundation of the India-Taliban ties. And now with the latest set of talks, should Pakistan be worried is the question. Is there cause for concern for the Shehbaz Sharif-led government? You see, there is ongoing tension between Islamabad and Tehran over groups operating along the border. According to Iran, these militant groups have sought refuge in Pakistan and are crossing the border to launch attacks on Iranian soil. And what's more, last year, Iran had carried out an airstrike in Pakistan targeting these militant groups, which prompted Pakistan to retaliate with an attack on Iran, killing civilians under the garb of targeting terrorists. And based on the recent talks, if the Taliban is granted the use of Iran's Chabahar port for trade, it could reduce Afghanistan's dependence on Pakistan's Karachi port. Now, as far as Taliban's ties with India are concerned, does Pakistan need to worry yet? The rise of Taliban in 2021 was initially seen as a boost to the regional influence of Pakistan. 3 years on, does that equation seem to have changed, given that Taliban is warming up to India now? While some analysts say Pakistan need not be worried by these developments, others warn that Indian influence in Afghanistan could further strain Islamabad's ties with Kabul amid the existing tensions. And what lies ahead, only time will tell. Shifting focus for now in a major move against cybercrime. The Jharkhand police in India arrested 6 cybercriminals from Jamtara district, a city infamous for being India's hub for online fraud. According to the police, the 6 accused were part of a sophisticated gang operating across India, primarily involved in breaching sensitive data and misappropriating funds from government bank accounts, leading to cyber fraud amounting in excess of 10 crore rupees. In a post on X, Jamtara police said that they recovered 14 mobile phones, 23 SIM cards, 10 ATM cards, a laptop, 2 four-wheelers, a camera, a drone camera, 1 lakh rupees in cash from the accused. And the police further said that investigations in the case are ongoing and they are examining the gang's, they are examining the extent of their network, ascertaining the extent of their network. Furthermore, a team of cybersecurity experts are reportedly assisting the police to trace digital trails left by the gang to potentially identify accomplices and victims. Jamtara is infamous for being a cybercrime hub in India, especially for online fraud and phishing scams. According to a 2023 study by IIT Kanpur, Jamtara is one of the 10 districts in India that account for 80% of the country's cybercrimes. More than 200 snatch thefts take place every day on streets across England and Wales. The UK Crime Survey data showing that more than 1/3 of these incidents involve theft of a mobile phone. But what happens to these mobile phones after that? According to the UK's most senior police officer, these phones become part of a global criminal business. Mark Rowley, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, told Sunday Times that about a third of all activity by organized crime groups in London now revolves around stolen smartphones and other thefts. Rowley said that the bulk of the stolen phones were exported and reused. According to a report, a recent analysis by the Metropolitan Police of a sample of more than 3,500 stolen iPhones suggested that only 22% remained in the UK, with the vast majority reconnected to foreign networks. And these phones are unlocked and resold or dismantled for parts to be sold in markets or to recycling plants. The biggest hotspot for British phones is Algeria, with almost 22% of the stolen phones being sent to the country. China is the second biggest hotspot for British phones. Now, the trade in stolen phones is no longer limited to young thieves looking to get their hands on some quick cash. The police believe it has become a highly professional and lucrative racket that is being exploited by major organized crime groups, including gangs from Albania, Romania, North Africa. Police estimate the street value of devices stolen in London adds up to as much as £20 million a year. Phones are not only being taken for their resale value, criminals also harvest personal information from the devices and break into victims' bank accounts. Police saying the demand for stolen smartphones abroad is so high that gangs have been smuggling devices out of Britain in bulk on flights departing from Heathrow and Gatwick. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner also accused tech giants, including Apple and Google, of enabling a phone theft epidemic. He said that the organized crime business model is enabled by the reusability and resaleability of stolen phones. Rowley has called for manufacturers to introduce the equivalent of a kill switch, which basically would remotely digitally destroy a stolen phone and prevent it from being reused anywhere in the world. Tech giant Apple has come under fire after a new lawsuit has accused it of exposing users to toxic chemicals that could lead to serious health issues, including cancer. The lawsuit reportedly references a recent study that tested 22 smartwatch bands from various brands and found that 15 of them contained harmful substances known as PFAs, commonly called forever chemicals, which have been linked to a range of health problems. Responding to the lawsuit, Apple reportedly maintained that its watch bands are safe for users and emphasized that its products undergo rigorous testing both internally and by independent laboratories. For long, Apple has claimed that its watch bands are made from a synthetic rubber that contains fluorine but not harmful chemicals, also known as PFAs. However, the lawsuit directly challenges these claims, arguing that Apple has concealed that their bands may contain these PFAs, which may pose health risks. What kind? These substances have been associated with birth defects, prostate, kidney, testicular cancer, as well as fertility problems. In 2022, Apple committed to phasing out the use of PFAs and conduct thorough quality checks at the manufacturing level to ensure that users' health standards are not compromised. And this is exactly what the lawsuit highlights: the supposed contradiction between Apple's health-promoting claims and the potential dangers hidden within its products, especially as Apple Watch bands are widely marketed as health tracking accessories, measuring the user's heart rates, steps, sleep patterns. However, this is not the first time Apple Watch has faced legal challenges. In 2019, Apple was sued by Joseph Wiesel, a New York cardiologist, in a federal court, alleging that the company used his patented monitoring tool to detect heartbeat irregularities. In 2020, medical technology company Massimo sued Apple for infringing on 10 of its patients, including technology to measure blood oxygen levels and heart rate. In 2021, a lawsuit filed by a medical technology startup centered around claims of antitrust and intellectual property infringement by Apple. The lawsuit claimed that the tech giant had illegally monopolized the US market for heart monitoring apps for the Apple Watch. And this, by the way, came amid years of legal tussle between the two companies. And in 2024, US Federal Appeals Court dismissed the lawsuit, thus marking a big win for Apple. Time and again, Apple has weathered various legal storms and maintained its position as a market leader in its domain. But will it survive this one as well? The US has been a front runner in the AI sector for many years. It is home to some of the biggest tech giants, and this includes Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta, among other big tech companies. However, it seems a new company, that to a Chinese startup, is giving these tech firms a run for their money, threatening their dominance in a way. This new company is called DeepSeek, developed by a Hangzhou-based startup. DeepSeek was founded in May 2023 by Liang Wenfeng. However, at the time, an AI model was not released in the US. It is only this year, on the 10th of January, DeepSeek V3, the chatbot's latest model, marked its way into the US market. And it took just over 2 weeks for the Chinese AI model DeepSeek to overthrow OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and other popular AI chatbots. DeepSeek reportedly has become the top-rated free application available on Apple's App Store in the United States. The sudden popularity of DeepSeek has shaken up the entire tech sector. What's even more interesting is that the total amount spent on developing DeepSeek, the company claims they spent just under $6 million to bring DeepSeek V3 to life. A claim that many refuse to believe because the amount is nothing when compared with the billions that US tech giants have poured into AI. For example, Sam Altman-led OpenAI reportedly spent over $4 billion in 2024 on AI development. Another thing that has shocked the industry leaders is the fact that DeepSeek is an open source model, which means that anyone can access the software's code, use it, change it, and if possible, make it better. DeepSeek's achievement is especially impressive considering the current tension between the US and China in the tech world, with the United States having imposed restrictions on certain computer chip-making equipment, software, and high-bandwidth memory chips. Meanwhile, the meteoric rise of a Chinese AI startup in just under a month has shaken the stock market's confidence in US tech stocks, questioning America's lead in the AI race. DeepSeek is shaking things up. The Chinese AI model is proving that you don't really need $1 billion budget to be a leader in AI. But the question is, what's next for the American tech companies? Can they adapt, innovate, and reclaim their lead? Or will this be the beginning of a new era in AI, where the playing field is not as leveled as we thought? Meanwhile, can AI outsmart human beings? Can they replace human beings? These are some of the biggest concerns and the key questions that have been doing the rounds thanks to the rapid rise of AI technologies and the way in which AI has made its presence felt in our lives. To make matters worse, here's something that makes those questions even bigger. What if AI could replicate itself? Does that sound like something that will only happen in a sci-fi movie? Well, think again. AI has now crossed a so-called red line. Artificial intelligence now has the ability to self-replicate. This is as per a new study in the preprint database, ARXIV. And what exactly was found? Should humans be worried, and what do the findings mean for us? The implications are quite serious, since with this, AI has surpassed the self-replicating red line. And that in itself should tell you how significant this is. According to the researchers, successful self-replication under no human assistance is the essential step for AI to outsmart humans and is an early signal for rogue AIs, quote unquote. What it also means is that this has implications for the control and safety of AI systems. Does this mean AI can threaten human interests? And where do things go from here? Here's where things get even more tricky. The behavior of the AI system while cloning itself leaves behind a series of questions and triggers serious concern. In some cases, the AI killed conflicting processes and rebooted the system to fix hardware errors. So the way it overcame the hurdles tells us a lot about the way in which AI can actually act. Never say never is a great quality to have. Overcoming obstacles along the way is great. But what if it's a road that basically ends with AI replacing human beings or becoming more powerful than human beings? That's the worrying part. Are we prepared to deal with this? And where does this stop? The consequences and implications are dangerous, to say the least. While the findings are yet to be peer-reviewed, researchers have urged international collaboration to ensure that AI does not engage in uncontrolled self-replication. They hope that the findings can serve as a timely alert for the human society to put more efforts on understanding and also evaluating the potential risks of frontier AI systems. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
After killing a governor, a military chief, and foreign peacekeepers, the dreaded M23 rebels force advance into Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations raises alarm. Nigeria's authorities officially declare the Lakurawa armed group that flogs people for listening to music a terrorist organization and bans it across the country. Lakurawa is a new militant group that carries out attacks targeting local communities in northwestern Nigeria and across the border with Niger. And Japanese adventurer Gamp Suzuki arrives in Cape Town at the end of a more than 6,000-kilometer journey across Africa while pulling a rickshaw. That's at these times on World of Africa on WION World is One.
India's Budget 2025 is here. Will it fuel growth or deepen inflation's bite? Will it support the rupee and markets? From tax reforms to middle-class relief, we decode what's in it for you. Stay ahead with our expert analysis and global perspective.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Welcome back. This is WION World is One. We are glad you're watching. Time now for Pulse. I'm Eric Njoka. Our top stories. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump speak in a phone call on the first conversation between the two leaders since Trump's inauguration last week. India and China will resume Kailash Mansarovar Yatra during summer. Direct flights between two nations to be operational. Decision comes as Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri holds talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Chinese President Xi Jinping calls for renewed efforts to counter economic risks and external shocks in his Lunar New Year message. This even as Beijing braces for more uncertainty following Trump's return to the White House. The Russian and Chinese leaders congratulated Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko for winning a seventh term in office, with Russia's Vladimir Putin saying Sunday's election shows he has the undoubted backing of the people. Kenyan President William Ruto says engagement, dialogue and consultations are the only way out of the escalating conflict in eastern DRC. Nairobi will host a crisis summit on Wednesday with the leaders of Rwanda and DR Congo as fighting continues. The UK Health Security Agency says a human case of bird flu has been detected in a person in England. The person acquired the infection on a farm in the West Midlands. US stocks plunge over China's AI threat. Nvidia suffers biggest rout in stock market history. Microsoft suffers $119 billion blow. This even as DeepSeek pours cold water on AI scaling laws. Coca-Cola orders a major recall of its beverages after checks identified high levels of chlorate. The recall concerns cans and glass bottles distributed in Belgium, the Netherlands, Britain, Germany, France and Luxembourg since November last year. Ukraine's intelligence chief delivered a chilling warning. Ukraine is facing potential collapse without peace talks by summer. As Russian drones darken Ukrainian skies and ammunition stockpiles dwindle, the nation is confronting its most critical moment since the invasion began. Our next report brings you the latest from the battleground.
Russian drones light up Ukrainian skies. Kyiv's ammunition stockpiles dwindle as Ukraine confronts its most critical moment since the invasion began. Over 100 Russian drones strike western Ukraine, igniting industrial facilities and devastating residential areas. Russian forces maintain relentless artillery bombardment. On the ground, Russian troops advance steadily through Ukraine's industrial heartland. Moscow claims yet another key town in the Donbas region. These images, released by the Russian Defense Ministry, show its troops celebrating their victory. Ukraine's arsenal is running dry, while its allies grow weary.